Castle's Bishop Houseman has attracted a lot of attention to this year's synod with his remarks in his presidential address about the church's attitude, or his attitude at least, to apartheid and sporting tours. Would you consider this attitude to apartheid as part of, church policy, or is it personal?
It's partly both. I regard it as a Christian principle, that a Christian principle is being violated by the South African government's insistence on apartheid, particularly in sport, but in other fields as well, and that the church in South Africa has spoken very strongly against apartheid. Several of our bishops and others have been deported from South Africa because of their stand on this question, and I regard it as a matter of Christian principle.
You say the church has spoken strongly. You're speaking of your church. Not all churches have spoken strongly. The church in South Africa, the South African church, hasn't.
The Church of England, the Dutch Reformed Church has not. The Dutch Reformed Church, of course, is almost a part of the establishment in South Africa, whereas the Anglican Church leaders have spoken out quite strongly against apartheid.
And been in trouble for it. Do you think that church opposition to apartheid is going to be any more effective than a sportsman's opposition to apartheid? It hasn't worked yet.
I think that the South African government must and is already taking notice of opinions expressed by sporting bodies and others outside South Africa. For instance, the Olympic exclusion is worrying them. They, I think, offered a gratuitous insult to our own tennis player, Miss Goolagong, in classing her as an honorary white. Now, if that's not an insult to her race and her people, I don't know what is.
Where does the World Council of Churches stand in this?
Well, the World Council of Churches is unequivocally opposed to apartheid.
Yes, it's a moot point whether you mightn't be opposed to them when you went on to say that you couldn't take part in noisy or violent protests. Yet the churches, the World Council is accused of providing the wherewithal for rather violent protest.
Yes, well, my own personal opinion is that I was not in favour of the way in which the grants, anti-race grants, were made by the World Council of Churches, and in many cases they were given to bodies which would use their grants in noisy and violent demonstrations.
Do you think that we here in Australia are guilty of at least partial apartheid ourselves?
I don't think to the same extent as South Africa. I don't think there is still discriminatory legislation against the Aborigines, and as I said in my presidential report, I feel that the legal decision on the Gove land case may have been legally correct, but it was against all natural law that the Aborigines have no land rights at all in that area.
In their own country, virtually.
In their own country.
Is the church speaking out about this? I haven't seen the church speak out on this before.
Oh yes, the church has constantly, in many of its bodies, written to the government. I've written on behalf of our own synod, on behalf of the Australian Board of Missions and other church bodies. We have protested strongly against the filching of Aboriginal land rights.
Coming back to the apartheid in sport, are you a football follower at all?
I'm afraid I don't know. I was brought up on Australian rules. I'm almost ashamed to say in this company, but I haven't followed football to any great extent, although I'm interested in sport generally.
Even if you were a rugby follower or perhaps a cricket follower, and no doubt you are, you wouldn't go to see the South Africans.
Oh no.
And you're advocating that others do the same, not go.
I'm not advocating that they do it. I'm suggesting that those who have a conscience about it should refrain from attending. I wouldn't ask you, for instance, if you've got no conscience in the matter, not to go, but I would appeal to the conscience of people.
And do you think that this will be strong enough to make a point?
I don't know. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I believe that every man acts according to his conscience, whatever the consequences may be.
Thank you very much. We've held you from Synod for long enough. Our guest this evening, the Bishop of Newcastle.